mean, you share this feeling, I know, like that art is just, it's literally for everyone. You're actually not allowed to say you're bad at art in here. Just that thing of like, please don't put yourself down in this space, because there is no good or bad. You're here to have a good time, be creative, which there's actually no rules on whatsoever. No one's comparing to each other. We're here to appreciate the, like, because everyone who models for me, very rarely are they someone who's done it before or done any kind of modeling. Like, they are just a queer person who wants the chance to be like a muse. Just having it as a community thing, like you're actually just here, you could just to meet each other, even if you come away from this just being like, oh, it was nice to be in a room with queer people. Like, that's enough as well. You don't ever have to come back, but just so you know, this space is here. And so yeah, and then New House recently asked me if I wanted to put on an exhibition as like a celebration of all the years of doing it, I guess.
Welcome to Going Places, hosted by illustrator and author Natalie Byrne. This is a podcast aimed to give you clarity on your creativity, because you, my friend, are going places.
I don't think of myself as a content person, really.
You make cute content. I like it when you unpack your prints and show your products.
I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel.
You should do it.
I think now's the time. People are getting back into like long form.
Yeah. Like, I always like to have stuff on in the background, and when I'm working, I try not let it be garbage.
Yeah,
true. You like reality TV.
Not
you know
Love
I love. I love Love Island. But I like watching having studio vlogs when I'm packing and doing like bits. It helps me feel like I'm working next to someone.
Yeah, you have a what's it called?
Studio buddy.
What's it called when people go to work and they have colleagues?
Colleagues. What are those things?
Are we colleagues? I guess.
Yes. Or we're peers. Oh yeah, we do work together as well.
Colleagues, peers, friends.
Peers. Well, I'm excited to have you on my podcast.
Oh yes. When are we starting from?
This is it, baby.
This is it. Okay, we're in. It's happening.
It's happening.
Oh my god, it's happening.
So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. We've
for
been friends for a while, haven't we?
Yes.
So this is Kai. Do you want to talk to the people about how you became an artist?
Yeah, all right. Let's go straight in.
What's your journey been like?
Oh, she's been rocky.
Because you've got a really interesting journey, because you didn't go to uni, and I think people that didn't go to uni that end up being artists have a really interesting viewpoint on things and how they develop their style and their creative portfolio is different. I think that's a wonderful thing, that people know that there's not one route into the arts.
I feel big on that, to be honest. Yeah, so I don't know where to start. I guess,
tell me, were you always creative?
Yes, since a little baby.
Uh-huh.
I credit my mum a lot with that, because I feel like she always just gave me pencils or crayons or whatever, and was like, off you go. And I guess being autistic, little shy kid, I'd just be in the corner drawing, I won't be like, well, I did sometimes, but I definitely have always loved drawing. I definitely been a comfort as well. And I actually was going to make a video on it. I was going to ask you about how I should do it, because when I did Extra Pride the other week, I went to Dawlish, which is where I used to go when I was a kid for like summer holidays and stuff. And I won my first art competition there when I was like 7. And I found a picture of me. I just do some swans. And I won, I think it was £10. And I went and bought a giant Winnie the Pooh from Woolworths that said I love you when I squeezed it. And I loved it so much. So I feel like I saw it as like part of me when I was a kid, and then at school and stuff, like I enjoyed other things like sciences and things, but no one ever tells you that art can be a job. Especially the school I went to was very academic, very like, if you don't get an A, you've basically failed. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it was intense.
Wow.
So
were you very academically driven at school?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, I enjoyed it. And stuff.
Yeah, horrible times thinking back, but I really locked in for exams and stuff. Took it very serious, and but I did do an art A-level art. So I also like did actively choose it, and that's when I was like, okay, I don't actually really know what to do with my life. And I remember thinking about being an interior designer for a while. I did like one day work experience, was like, I fucking hate this, never again. I did a yacht. I had like a week, I think, of yacht designing. Like went to this place that designs interiors of yachts.
How a different life you would have had.
I hated that. I don't think I even finished the week. I'm pretty sure I like just didn't show up for the last couple of days because it was so bad.
I've seen that reality show about the yachts.
Yes. I mean, I'm fucking out. I think I'd have a lot more money than I have right now if I'd chosen that one.
What's it called? Down Under or something?
Under, yachts. Deck, under deck.
Below deck.
Below deck.
Under the sea. Under the sea.
Under deck.
That's what I was kept thinking.
Oh, what was it? Anyway, yeah. Didn't really know what to do. My art teacher at A-level was like, why don't you do an art foundation because it's free? That was basically like the main selling point. Because like if you were under, I don't know if it is now, but if you're under 19, it was a free, just 1 year thing to kind of help you figure out what you wanted to do. So I went and did that. I hated it. I met nice people, so that like helped. But I remember feeling so out of place. Like I didn't feel like an artist, which has always been like a theme. So I feel like we'll get to like, so we talked about that earlier. Didn't feel like an artist. I didn't feel like I looked cool enough or looked arty enough. Like everyone seemed to already know their style, or like they were there because they wanted to go to uni to do this thing and stuff, and I was just there like, I don't know what I'm doing. Ended up not getting a very good grade because, I mean, loads of reasons, and also my tutor or like head of department or head of the year or something came around towards the end of term and was asking people for his like records, or the uni's records, where we were going to uni. And I was like, I'm not going. And he was so like shocked by the fact I'd said that. I was like, I just want to like travel and do other stuff, and like I don't feel the desire to go and do a degree. He made me stand up in front of the whole class and like made a point of me that I wasn't going, told me I wouldn't get anywhere without a degree, and then lied and said, I'm going to write down on this form that you're going to do art history at Warwick Uni, which came very full circle when I did that mural for Warwick Uni. I told them this on the call, the first call I had with this person, because we got on really well. I was like, I need to tell you something. This is crazy that you're paying me to do this mural. And like the fact that he lied and said I was going to go there to do something I wouldn't. I mean, maybe now I would be interested in art history a little bit, but crazy. So yeah, he made me feel obviously so much shame and like embarrassment almost of like that I'd even like thought about it or tried or whatever. It really put me off art. I just went and did like, had loads of other jobs, went traveling and things for years, didn't really like even think about myself as an artist. I think I would paint occasionally, but like didn't really think about it much. So it wasn't until lockdown, where I was living in Australia, came back just before COVID happened basically. So I was like back in my like childhood room during COVID, being like, what the hell am I doing? And then that's when I came out, realised I was very gay, not more than I realised before. And I think that was like the desire, the like, what's it called? Like the fire to push me to start making again, because I really just wanted to find like community. I feel like it sounds very cliche, but it genuinely was that. Like I was never part of the queer community. I didn't feel like I had that sense of like connection with people and stuff. But I followed some queer artists and things, so that had always helped me like feel a lot of joy around it. So I started making queer art, started sharing it, made it Etsy, and then it all just kind of like snowballed, I guess.
Oh, what a beautiful
and now here we are.
Well, so many questions. Should we start with this dickhead teacher saying that? Because I when you say that, I just assumed that, I don't know how it works, but I just assumed that there's an incentive for him, because you know how sometimes it's like, are they getting extra money for how many people go to university after that? Like, does it look good on their books?
I think it is. It's similar to the school I went to. Like, it's all statistics on how they can say, like, we have this many A-star students.
People want,
because the aim of it was to help people figure out what degree they wanted to do. It looks good on the statistics that people then move on to do a degree, rather than being like, I'm actually done with this. I don't
or like
want to be in
learning
education anymore.
techniques of art practices, which is what the course is.
Because my thing, which I feel like now is like my whole life, is that I don't want to be boxed into, well, anything, quite frankly, but especially with creativity. The reason I got a bad grade was because I chose the graphics pathway. Graphic design is not my strong point, and I'm fine with that. But at the time, I was like, I want it to be, so I guess I'll just do this one. But I actually really loved textiles, and I was doing like felting and all this kind of stuff. So then my final piece was like for the brief of a graphics thing, but I did it in textiles, and it didn't fit like the brief properly, which fair, like it doesn't, to be honest. I actually think it was something about it being digital, and it's basically supposed to be like a poster, and I made big 3D felted pieces that were like interactive and stuff, and it was very me, but like I didn't know that at the time. And then all I knew that came of that was that I got a bad grade because I didn't. And it's good to learn, like obviously, yeah, you do have to learn how to fit a brief and stuff, but it was quite discouraging. It was like you're allowed to do all these things at the beginning, but then you've got to pick one to focus on, and then that's your thing. Whereas I don't feel like that now. Like I don't want to have just one thing that's my thing. I enjoy lots of things, and I think that's what creativity literally is letting yourself flow around and like do what feels good. And that's not to shit on like having a focus,
but I think everything makes sense because it's coming from you and your story and your journey and your like love for the queer community, and it's all, that's the link. It's your tone of voice and your style. So for me, everything seems really like solidified and connected. Whereas you might think I'm going here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, but from the outside, it's just you.
Oh, that's nice.
Even just the colours you choose are always very like you. When you started to make art after you came out, it's so interesting because at university, I always tell people like my education was very much like bottled down to figure out who you are and then make work about that, and you will have a portfolio that whatever it is you will at least be proud of because it's connected to you.
Well, that sounds good.
And that's essentially what you did without paying all the fees. But I think there was a connection about you having come out and then like making work that was so you, because you did the work behind the scenes, those conversations of coming out, and I'm sure that was very emotionally charged. And then when that happened, you were like, I'm gonna make work that makes this about this.
Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't know that about your uni experience, that was like the whole
basically
goal. Yeah, it does make sense. I feel like you do have to know it's what is your drive behind it, right? Like, and that can change, but you do have like core values and core things that are always going to be there. And if you nail that, then yeah, you're always going to like what you make, whether other people like it or not.
Yeah,
which is like
and
the
you
key
can stand with
thing,
it. Do you feel like that was a key part of your creative experiences, was like coming out?
Honestly, yeah, because it's like being authentic, right? And I feel like with your art, you have to. We were talking about this earlier. Like, it is you, and you are it. It's very like intertwined. So if you're not being yourself, your art is not flowing
genuine.
Genuine. And it makes sense why it took me so long to realize how queer I was with the Catholic upbringing, and then like a lot of shame and everything like that. And even in creativity at school, I feel like I could be unfairly remembering, but what I remember is that it was a lot about, here is a certain artist or art piece and you're going to learn how to like copy it, essentially, which never felt right to me. Like, that's not what we do, you know? Obviously you take inspiration from everything, and no one is truly like original, I don't think, but it wasn't really encouraged
expression
to express and to just do your own thing without caring whether it fits a certain style or you know what I mean. I don't think the schooling, and I think that's what I felt after the Art Foundation, was like, or even during it, to be honest, I just feel like really done with education, like trying to squish me into something because I don't even know what I am yet, but I know it doesn't feel right, you know. So yeah, going off and like just trying other stuff, even if it was like jobs I hated, and then like being able to travel and stuff, like changed how I see everything, and then helped me see myself more. And then realize that like art, I was suddenly angry about all these new things as well, that I hadn't like connected all the dots together before. And the rage really helps. I was angry about the teacher guy telling me that as well. Well, fuck you, actually. Who are you to tell me? And even when I started, I wasn't like, this is going to be my job. I wanted to be like a freelancer of some kind. I've always kind of like said that, but I honestly had no idea what that was going to look like. I never thought I'd be like, oh, I'm actually a full-time artist as my job. It's not like I had the dream and was like, I'm going for it. But then I guess once I started getting into it and you see representation of other people doing it, that's like the whole thing with community, and especially the queer community. Like I saw other queer people building a life for themselves that made them like fulfilled and happy, and was like, fuck, people can do that, what the hell.
And also, queer artists, some of the most successful ones, some of the most celebrated, highlighted, are queer artists.
Yeah. I do think it tends to get linked, I feel like stereotypically linked to the like struggle and the trauma almost of growing up with so much shame and like suppression and stuff that gives you the drive. But I don't love that rhetoric, I guess. I think it's true for me, but I don't think it is true for everybody, because some people, I guess a lot of my work is quite activism-y, but that's just my personality, like autistic Scorpio, very fiery, very like, when I'm passionate about something, like I want to shout about it. But not all queer people want that or even need that representation. They want to just be able to exist and not even have the whole thing of coming out. And like I do feel that as well sometimes, but I just like, don't know, what I feel drawn to is doing more of that stuff. And it's like, I think the more that the people who feel drawn to it do it, it gives then like space for the people who don't have the drive or the desire to want to have to do that, don't have to do it. You know what I mean? That everyone's got their role in things. But I do think that having the thing of feeling like you had to hide and then realizing you don't have to, whatever it is about yourself, that it's like the way it comes out is always going to be so much more like,
well, I just think it's like how many gatekeepers get things wrong time again. And then when there's successful like pop artists or artists or anything, and they go, actually, I'm not going to listen to this gatekeeper, I'm going to go forth and make my work and share it, and then it's received by public masses well, and people want to put money and on the line, and there's a demand. It's just another reason that just because one gatekeeper says, oh, you'll never get anywhere, doesn't mean that they don't know everything. They just know their own personal experience and what they've seen from their limited view. And then often, is the case, the most original thinkers are always people that are marginalized.
Yeah, it's so true. It's kind of like, because you feel like you have to fend for yourself almost in a way, or like you and your community versus whatever form of oppression it is, like it gives you the drive to like use your own voice in your way, because that's all you can do. You know what I mean? Like that lack of feeling accepted means that you have to push more to help yourself feel heard and understood without the need for approval from other people. Like maybe because it starts from a more genuine place, you already feel like you don't get the approval or the acceptance. It's like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want then. I feel like that was almost part of it in a way. But then again, because I didn't set out with the goal for it to be my like job or anything, maybe that helped with just making what I wanted to make as well,
because there's no expectations.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like we have talked about this before, I 100% have at times just made things that I hope will sell and stuff like that, because then once it does become your job, you have to think more like that, like the money's,
I feel like every time I make anything that I'm like, this is gonna sell, I'm doing this just because it's gonna do well, it flops.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It flops
so real. And then the thing I hate sells the most, and I'm like, The hell?
So you might as well just try and
might as well just do what you want.
Do what you have yourself as this. What do you say? As the like meter guide.
Yeah.
Trust your own stuff.
Yeah.
Thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your life drawing class that we did last night.
Oh yeah.
It was so wonderful. I need to do that again because that was such a wonderful experience.
You're always welcome to come.
And do you want to tell people a little bit about your life drawing? Because you've got something exciting coming up with the exhibition. So,
I've been running like queer LGBTQ plus life drawing classes they started in Guildford. I did an artist residency in Guildford in 2022, and part of that was they gave me a bit of funding to run classes. And so I did a life drawing class because I had memories from I think it was A-level art. I had to go. I don't know why I had to, but I had to go do life drawing classes in Guildford.
Often, yeah, it's like the first step for learning to draw, right?
And it was like an uncomfortable experience for me, just all round, to be honest with you, in terms of like the way it was facilitated, the way the teacher was kind of like in my opinion, overly critiquing people. I didn't really feel comfortable at the time with nudity, especially like an older man kind of thing. And yeah, I just kind of hated it and was like, I'm never doing that again. And then I'd tried it again, I think probably in 2022 before my residency, a different one in the area. And it was a lot better than I remember, but it was still just not, like, I didn't really feel particularly comfortable, didn't enjoy it. Like, I didn't leave being like, oh, that was so good, I want to go back. And it got me thinking on the representation of like different bodies and stuff, because I hadn't had that much experience in it. But even I feel like what you see advertised and things online, it's just a lot of the same bodies, therefore like attracting a similar vibe of person and stuff like that. And the seriousness of it, like, it was so serious, it was so silent, and everyone was like, no one was talking to each other. Sort of like, I don't know, the vibe of people looking around, looking at other people, it was just I didn't feel good, basically. So yeah, thought, why don't I try a little queer one? Asked one of my friends to model, and I had, because I could do it for free because I had the funding. I had so many people come. It was like, I didn't know there was this many queer people in Guildford, in a way, to be honest. And yeah, it just got a really good like feedback, and lots of people were like, please can you do this again? And I at the time was like, fuck yeah, like I'll definitely do it again soon. But then it took about a year for me to find new house where I already knew of it, but to figure out how to do it there and like sort of the, I guess, like admin stuff out. But yeah, so I've been running them at New House for like 3 years now, which is crazy, and I love it. It's very community vibes. We have people who've been coming to pretty much every session since the beginning, which feels so special.
It was so good. Like, I had the best experience, and I was telling you afterwards that I've always wanted to do more life drawing, but every experience I had has been very like, because I'm not very good at drawing precisely or like photorealistically, or I'm very like stylized, you say?
Yeah, stylized, I guess. You have your,
and I'm quite quick. I actually make more mistakes when I spend longer on something. I love
about your work. Yeah.
I won't tell my clients that.
They don't need to know.
And I get really scared because you always see on telly and stuff that people will be like, okay, that's good, but you need to draw the head a bit bigger. Or I've had it at uni where someone's like, that proportion's wrong. And I understand it, but yeah, I thought it was so wonderful because if we as full-time professional creative people feel like put off or insecure or like uncomfortable,
by that environment,
and not welcome to just have fun, what's someone who's not creative going to feel? Literally. And there's a space for it, because if you want to learn hyper-realistic, obviously it's important to go in and get advice and get critique, but I just loved it. I had such a wonderful experience. Everyone said hello to each other, and I just think that immediately I was like, this is great.
I feel like that's the thing. I feel very, I mean, you share this feeling I know, like that art is just, it's literally for everyone. I sometimes in my little intro of the class, I try and remember to say like, you're actually not allowed to say you're bad at art in here, like get kicked out, not for real, but just that thing of like, please don't put yourself down in this space, because there is no good or bad. You're here to have a good time, be creative, which there's actually no rules on whatsoever. No one's comparing to each other. We're here to appreciate the, like, because everyone who models for me, very rarely are they someone who's done it before or done any kind of modeling. Like, they are just a queer person who wants the chance to be like a muse, you know, and like appreciate, have people view and appreciate them exactly as they are. And I think that's like the whole thing behind it. And I do think like life drawing, especially if it is like nude, is a very vulnerable thing, and so the space like matters, you know?
100%.
For everyone to be comfortable, I think, and like not assuming that people are going to be completely fine as soon as that person's naked. Like sometimes it takes people a minute, they're like, oh my god, you know, and that's fine. Like we're not always used to it, there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, just having it as a community thing, like you're actually just here, you could just to meet each other, even if you come away from this just being like, oh, it was nice to be in a room with queer people, like that's enough as well. You don't ever have to come back, but just so you know, this space is here. And so yeah. And then New House recently asked me if I wanted to put on an exhibition from, as like a celebration of all the years of doing it, I guess. It's going to be during Pride Month as well, which is a nice little like extra. We're going to be launching on the 25th of June, and it will be up for around a month. And yeah, just be like a collection of people's artworks from over the years. I have had some people bring in stuff who've kept it like from the whole 3 years, so that's going to be really special. And just a celebration of like art for the sake of art and community, and yeah, the really cool people who've let us draw them. And I'm really excited.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And it's also nice because I feel like we always talk about this, that like lots of creative things feel like London centric, or even like East London centric, and it's just nice that you're doing something that's.
I do them in London also, but
it's
which we love because it's a very different vibe. The London one, like, equally is amazing, but it is London things just assuming that people can always get there as well. And I think it's nice. It was nice for me, even in a like, you know, just think about myself way. It was nice to realise that there were so many people where I grew up, because I'm still living where I grew up. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't have to be in city, like massive capital cities to find your people.
Yeah, I love it. I feel very grateful. Like, because it's all the people that can't. That's why I wanted it to be really. We're gonna have some like this kind of storyline almost amongst. That's how I envision it. Is like having the why, and then having people's I guess like testimonials in a way of like why it's important to them and stuff. Because in a literal representation way, like seeing bodies that look like yours, or you know, that aren't everywhere, can be a big thing for people. Or just having a nice space to come and hopefully feel safe and like
No, it's so wonderful and so important. Tell me about when you first started to feel like an artist.
Well, I feel like it's very recent. This is what we were saying.
Yes.
Which sounds probably crazy, because I've been full-time since 2022. That's like 4 years ago. I've been like, my job title is full-time artist. But, and there's probably been times in that, like especially at the beginning of my like career. What am I saying? Career is a career.
This fake career.
This career that I'm doing. Why did I say that? Wow, that's some deep-rooted shit going on in there. Oh my god.
Your undercover agent. Your
my
career.
Whoa. Okay. At the start of my career, I had moments of being like, what the heck? But the imposter syndrome was always probably like louder than that voice, I think. Like when I'd get hired by like a brand I really wanted to work with or whatever, I just like, I'd be in disbelief, to be honest, and just go through the motions of like doing it, but I don't really think I ever believed it was happening until after it was done, and then I'd just be like, what the fuck? So, and that was like, so I definitely had times of feeling like, oh my god, I'm a paid artist now, like that's crazy. But in terms of feeling like an artist, maybe like I did when I was a kid, like because my little like friend group when I was a kid, I remember like, and we were all quite arty, but I just feel like I remember being known as someone who was arty, if you know what I mean. Whereas that went away for like so many years. Even school, I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit of a whirlwind of like shit, to be honest, in like loads of different ways, and it being always like graded and all that kind of stuff, like just not how you want to feel about your own creativity. And then honestly, very recent, the last like 2 months since when did I get back? Like April? No, we're in May now. April time. Like coming home from a trip and being like, right, what am I doing? Because it happens every year, and I always talk to you every year around this, probably around like Feb, March. I feel like being like, kind of want to quit this whole thing. I kind of hate it. Like when you go through like the down patch and like work's really slow, and I'm just there like, what am I doing? Can I actually do this? Like, but obviously learning that the peaks and troughs just come anyway. But yeah, it often happens when I get back from somewhere and kind of wanting to like focus on the rest of the year and like what do I want to do, and I just didn't really have the same drive as I have in other years of like thinking about it in a business way or in a monetary way. I was literally just like, I want to paint again. Like I want to paint and I want to write. I used to write all the time. Poetry would just like fucking spit out of me like every day. Like I'd be just always writing, and then I mean, you know why it went away. And I feel like I'm getting that back now, and that's so nice. I was like, I want to write, I want to paint, and just feel like an artist again. Like I literally wrote that in my journal in like March time this year, and coming home and realizing, even though it's the most obvious thing in the whole world, that it's like a practice. Like you have to, like a habit almost, like the same way like I try and do yoga every day, and it doesn't always happen every day, and that's okay. But that's my goal, is like, because it feels good as well, like moving because it feels good, and like painting because it makes me feel good. Like I was saying to you, I have walked in here recently and like have a little squeal of excitement when I see like my paints out, and I remember, oh my god, I can just paint, like what the hell. And making a lot of art that I'm not showing anyone, and I don't need to, like, I mean, maybe I will at some point because I'm proud of it or I really like it or whatever, and that's fine, but not thinking about anyone else seeing it while I'm making it, that is such a new thing for me. Because I feel like my career started out so kind of out of the blue, or like it wasn't. It was like years of
sharing
working
stuff online.
Pretty much, I feel like, maybe and so why. I didn't have that like, this is for me. Yeah, and I lost it very easily, because then once you do start making money, or the approval, like obviously everyone wants approval and acceptance, and you kind of start getting it because of certain things, and so then it felt like, obviously I don't want to stop doing those things, because like that whole thing about style, like I have held back from showing certain things, especially like painting, because my portfolio, my website, my Instagram, like is not really showing that, and that's also not what clients have ever hired me for. Yes. And stuff. So it feels almost like not pointless, but just like, will it confuse people? Yeah. Will they think that like I now don't know what I'm doing? And like, which is so silly, because I've never looked at another artist and thought that in my life.
But I think share stuff, like as long as you've got some things that they're for clients to see, and then your portfolio linked, there's no harm in like dotting things in.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say to someone else as well.
But then if you wanted to just keep it for you, because we've talked about this how my relationship to my creativity, I feel very protective over things now. Whereas before I was like, everyone can see it! Everyone can see everything!
Having no like boundaries almost around what is your life and what is like what you share as well. Because I feel, oh my god, there's a spider.
Is it small?
Yeah, it's small. It's gone behind.
Is it?
Oh, it's not a spider. It's a fly. We can talk more about the feeling like an artist thing. I feel like I'd love to hear you should share your perspective.
My thoughts of feeling like an artist. It's funny because in the life drawing, I did like 10 full pages. Yeah. I didn't like the first. I think it took me a while to warm up.
And that's always the case. The warm up. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But then after the 10th one, you came over my shoulder and you were like, "Oh, I like that." And I was like, "Am I an artist?" And I think I told you afterwards that the person next to me, I sat down and they were like, "Oh, are you creative?" And I was like, "Not really." Just because we talked about how I didn't like the pressure of sometimes being like, oh, she's an illustrator, she knows what she's doing, and then that feeling like I'm alienating the person next to me, and then I don't want pressure, so I was like, not really.
Honestly, yeah. Barely even draw at all.
And she's like, oh, good. See? So that's why I said it. My job.
Yeah.
So, and then after the 10th one, I was like, I really like, but those first 10, I was like, I hate it. And I don't feel like I'm an artist when I might be making stuff, but if I hate it, I'm like, it's crap.
Yeah.
But then when I make something that I love, or I think it's going well, I'm like, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. That's the thing. It hits you so random day, you're like, fucking hell.
Hold on a minute.
I could draw.
I've just discovered for the millionth of 100th time, because I feel like a feeling is really fleeting.
That was hard to say.
A feeling is really
fleeting.
So like feeling like an artist can come and go, but the practice of being an artist is so regimented, and it's more about a routine, and more like you show up even when you don't feel like it,
which I find so hard, to be honest.
And consistency,
yeah.
And I think that's what separates hobbyists from professionals, because when you have deadlines, you have to show up. You can't be like, sorry, I don't feel like it today.
Or like, I've got creative block. Like, you have to just do it anyway. You've got to figure out a way around. Yeah.
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. No deadline today.
Yeah.
Gotta wait till the moon and stars are aligned to make my... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting, because I think both have value. Like, when you feel... When you feel really, really inspired, like, lean into it. And then it's the challenge for me is that consistency, that practice, and showing up when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, so real. And I think maybe that's because I've had the capacity to do that recently. Like, having my life feel a bit calmer and more stable and stuff has just given me the, like, mental space to be able to be a bit more consistent almost. Or it's like, it's given me the space to care about it as a practice, which isn't always there if I'm struggling.
And have you found that if you are showing up on a day that you don't feel like it and you push through and make something, do you ever find that actually you're surprised by what you make and that you like what you made? Yeah,
or like, I'll even be drawing and like an idea will just then come and I'm like, wow, where did that come from? Exactly. Because I almost see it as like there's a door open or closed in my brain, or maybe that's how I used to see it, and I'm trying to it's not as black and white as that. Like, there's so many ways to be. Even when I make my fucking sourdough, I feel creative, or make food, or when I'm at the job I have 1 day a week now where I'm helping other people make art and kind of like teaching a little bit, assisting, facilitating. Like, I'm so inspired by them because they are not people who see themselves as
we need to talk about this.
Yes, okay.
So tell me about this job that you do one day a week.
Yes. It's at a charity called Creative Response. Absolutely gas them up, they're amazing. And always looking for donations if anybody is able and willing. They work with like a variety of participants with like lots of different kinds of disabilities and like individual needs. They're all amazing. Like, I cannot stress it enough how inspired I feel by them. There's somebody I work with, like, who's kind of my more one-to-one person who needs like more hands-on help, I guess. And she, oh my god, watching her paint, I actually cried the second time, my second shift. I had a little tear because I was watching her do this huge painting and she's literally just like getting the paint, like, there's no hesitation. She just like goes, you know. And there's so many like properly talented people in the room as well who just show up. There's no they don't put the pressure on themselves because their like reason for being at Creative Response is like a form of like care almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're there, that's their time of the week to have their Creative Response time where they can just be with creativity, be with other people, feel supported. Even sometimes they don't even make the art, they just sit and chat and whatever, and that's enough too. Like, they've been in a creative environment and it's their whole like ethos behind the charity is like creativity for healing, for helping with mental health, for support, for just community. And I love it so much. I literally I couldn't like agree with it more, if you know what I mean. And I think being in that environment where even some of them do sell their work and stuff, so technically are like professional artists, as you know, by definition, but the way they treat creativity, I guess, as just like part of the day almost, and like part of them, is so inspiring to me and has genuinely helped me so much. Like I come home from work and I'm like, I'll just do a little doodle, I'll make a little zine about something I've been thinking about, or I don't know, I'll just paint a page and then just go to bed and not think about it, not stress about it. Been doing a lot of like personal work because I feel like I'm more in the habit of thinking of art as a form of expression, as a form of like literal self-care. Or even like behind this thing, I'm not going to show it because it's private, I have a big sketch pad where I have my pastels over there, and when I have my big emotions I can just or do like the bilateral drawing to like soothe myself, where it's like both hands at once and stuff, and just knowing that it's like my thing, that's like I can't see it all the time, I can easily access it, and then have it for my emotions, and like mess, like being able to make mess. Like the carpet in here is fucked because I don't care about it, because I shouldn't, because it's an arty space, and like having clothes. I'm pointing at a t-shirt over there that's covered in, I got the person that I was just talking about to paint that t-shirt for me, so that's her lovely work. And clothes where it doesn't matter what mess you make in. I feel like little things like that help me feel more like someone who's making art just a part of my day, rather than like this thing that I have to like sit down and like clock into. Because I think that's the struggle with being like an illustrator as well, specifically, almost when we're like both doing digital work as well. We were saying about that, like I don't get the same level of excitement sitting down to my iPad, like even though technically it's actually a very accessible way. Obviously only if you have the iPad to begin with, but like
it's so great,
you can grab it, there's no mess involved, it's literally just like could be the quickest thing in the world, but I find it harder to connect at the moment in that way, and I hope that will kind of come with like more, because again it's just practice, isn't it?
For me the digital work is like the last step. I've been doing a lot of stuff with my sketchbook and trying, every time I do anything I start on my sketchbook, which was not my practice before, and I treat my iPad as like that final step once the idea is done and sketched out.
I like that.
And I think limiting screen time as much as possible, and the idea is always so different when it starts in the analog, is what we say. Is that what the kids say?
The youth.
What would you say if someone came into one of your workshops and was really like just would consider themselves not a creative person and wanting to come to one of your workshops, but was really worried and scared about the idea of being creative, what would you tell them?
I would say, honestly, focusing on the idea of just being in a room with people to do an activity is like the first step of that, because I mean sometimes that feels like the intimidating part, but then I would hope that because of like the context around it being a queer space and like, you know, the communication around things you can like the goal of the session, I guess, just being to have a nice time, whether that means even if you hate everything you've drawn, hopefully you've still enjoyed just sitting in a room with people and doing something together, no matter what that activity was. Because I feel like that's just something to be said, like doing a group activity is just good for us, good for the soul.
We're professionals and I still hate it so much, like majority of stuff I make I hate,
which is, people say that, right? Like make bad art, like make stuff and if that happens to me in my sketchbook, I literally will write under like I hate this, but that's okay, because sometimes I need to physically write that out to like tell my brain it's actually fine, I never have to look at that again. You can rip it out if you want, I could put it in the bin, do you know what I mean? Like it's actually not that deep. That's something I've been trying to say, especially at the job that I do once a week. If there are ever any hesitations and stuff, I'm like, do you know what, it actually just doesn't matter though, because at the end of the day it's just a painting, and if you hate it, we'll just fold the paper in half and I'll move it out of the way and you never have to look at it again. Like, it's okay. Nobody is gonna, and like not in a dismissive way of like, obviously sometimes people have feelings that come up that are genuinely related to like being told they're bad at something, or just like lack of confidence and self-belief and stuff. Like all of that, very valid, very much feel it myself. But just that thing, sometimes you have to like just laugh at it a bit and be like, it's not that serious, because it is literally just a drawing, or it is literally just, it doesn't have to mean everything you're putting on it. And that helps me a lot. And I feel like yeah, I guess I'd say something along the lines of that, probably a bit shorter.
You said something earlier inside that was like about, you read a statistic that most people have been told at some point or another that they're terrible at creative work.
It was Brené Brown, listening to her, it's an audio book, which is like a recording of her like speaking things that she does on vulnerability, because also that's the whole thing, is like vulnerability and shame, and she was studying the link between shame, vulnerability, and like play as an adult, like creative play, or just like, I don't know, even like playing a board game with your family, like doing stuff that the goal of it is just joy kind of thing. And so a huge link of people who don't feel fulfilled with that side of themselves in adulthood. I think it was around, I mean, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was 50 to 60% of adults had a memory of being told as a child that they were bad at art or something creative. It was always linked specifically with creativity as well. And it's like, that's the
vulnerable part to be creative.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like the side of your brain that you're using when you're being creative, no matter what that is. Like, and then she was talking about the link between the lack of she gave the example of like a newspaper headline almost saying like innovation crisis in the US, and like not realizing that that is linked with the like lack of importance being put on creativity and play and time to just do things, and not just the grind. Like you have to be vulnerable to be able to be playful, and then that's where innovation and creativity like comes from as well. So it's all connected, and I love her work. She's so cool, so interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. Do you have any other advice that you would give to young aspiring artists?
Fake it till you make it is probably one of the biggest, and I think you said that to me probably when we first started being friends. It's something along the lines of that, because truly I still do it even sometimes. Like if there's something that I'm like, I feel a pull towards that, or there's something I want to like do with my career or whatever, it starts as like a little, a little tiny voice or a little seed, but then the more that I just start to be like, I am that thing, or I can do that thing, and just taking away the like otherness of it, I think really helps. And obviously like in the manifestation way, I also kind of believe in that, but I do think there's so much to be said for just being a little bit delulu, like genuinely, and giving yourself the chance to try. And I guess the easiest way to sum that up is fake it till you make it. Like just do the thing, and everything else will kind of come after. And I guess advice I would give to myself as well, because it's not like I'm perfect at doing this. Wow, the wording I just said is crazy, because I was about to say perfectionism and I just used the word perfect. Don't have to be perfect, but yeah, like not waiting to do something until it feels like you're able to do it. Like even I had a friend who's just started their like art business, and was asking about markets and stuff, and like how much stock do they need and how many things and like all this stuff, and I was like, honestly, what is the thing you feel most excited to make just like 3 of them, even if it's just that, and just do that. Like you don't need all the stuff. Like, and actually, like, again, it's all so cliche, and I kind of hate that it sounds so cliche, but it's because it's true. Like if you wait, there's never going to be a time where you have everything perfect and everything right. And also I actually think it's better to figure things out along the way, because you get to figure out in real time like what works and what feels good as well, and you don't waste time forcing things
and
that don't feel right. You learn on the job, like quite literally. You are a creative person, and I think it's part of being a human being is being creative, to be honest. That's why I'm like, it 100%. Is for everyone. You have that. That's all you'll figure it out. Like you literally will, especially when you have the drive already. It's gonna work out. Be a bit delulu. and
We
just
need
give
more
yourself a
queer
chance.
artists.
Well, yeah, genuinely.
Yeah.
Share your thing, and people want to connect as well. I think that's the thing, like seeing it as like a vehicle for connection.
Yes.
Is such a good place to start, and then you basically can't fail.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, you will, because everybody does at points, but you know what I mean? Like, you won't feel I guess it's the linked with like the shame and the vulnerability and all of that. Like, if you authenticity, right? Like, if you walk into a room and you're like, I want everyone to like me, and you're trying to like fit what you think they're gonna like, you could do the same thing with your work. Not everyone is going to like it anyway, regardless. And if you've done it to try and fit, you're then going to feel like shame and embarrassment and stuff like that, maybe. Whereas if you go into something just being like, well, this is my thing and I want to be seen for me, because that's going to get me the connection that I actually want to get.
Yeah.
Even if it feels really disappointing and like upsetting because nobody liked it or whatever, at least you know that you were staying authentic, and there'll be no shame coming from that. I think, and you
can always make new work. Like,
yeah,
I think that reminds me a lot about the Jim Carrey's dad. Have you heard of that story? So his dad wanted, I forget what exactly, but his dad wanted to be, I think, a trumpet player in the jazz or something like that. And he was great and talented, but he thought, well, this is not a stable career. I'm going to be a janitor. Oh. And so he then got made redundant, and the whole family lost the house or something like that, and they were homeless for a while. Wow. So Jim Carrey always had this idea of, well, you can fail at the thing that isn't your dream.
Yes, that's
so you might as well go
real.
for your dream.
Yeah.
And you might fail, but you could also fail at the backup plan. So you might as well just, so it was a lesson for him where he was you might as well 100%. Try.
I think people see that as being reckless as well, and obviously like there's a certain amount of like privilege and stuff to be able to like give something a go.
Yes.
Especially in terms of money and stuff like that, which I know that was massively why I could do what I did. Like having the opportunity to like take the risk almost and not stress about money for a while, like having savings and stuff like that. But you can do it in little ways without having to like quit your job, or you know, you can keep the stability that you need. And there's something to be said. I mean, even like we were talking about earlier, like having even it's one day a week, like it's some form of stability. And I do genuinely think that's allowed part of my brain to like open back up, or like some of my creativity to come back, because you are more creative when you feel safe.
Yes.
Right? Like
100%. No, this has been a lovely chat.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Love you.
I'll leave all the links below, including the exhibition coming up in June.
Yes, 25th of June.
And love you lots. Thanks for having me. Bye. Great.
High five.
That's a wrap. Woo-hoo. That was a good high five.
That was a good slap. Was it my right ear is burning?
Why?
I think it happens when I have
someone's talking about you.